and we'll go into the slide presentation. So we are going to be talking about healing inflammation in 5 easy steps tonight. And I definitely wanted to thank you for joining the call, taking time to register, making the time to get on the live webinar, and just being here to get the information for yourself, right? Taking the time to get the information for your family. It's important. And it's very important that sometimes as a mom that we actually focus on ourselves for a little bit to get ourselves healed, because if we don't feel our best, we can't give our best. And I mean, many of us already understand that, right? When you're tired, when you're cranky, when you just got too much going on, your kids want something, it's sometimes that tipping point. So tonight's information, you can use it in many, many ways, but I would highly suggest you use the information to start healing your own inflammation first, and then start to share it with others, because it is huge in the healing front, and it's so valuable. So again, we are going to talk about inflammation healing in 5 steps, all right? So first of all, who am I? My name is Tiffany Hinton. I'm a best-selling author. We've had 2 Amazon bestseller books. We have 13 books that have been published so far, and we are working on book number 14, which should come out in 2018, which will be a functional medicine protocol cookbook. I'm a business owner. I own MomCertified. A super mom. I have 3 kids who were all born in under 3 years. So yes, they were all in diapers at the same time once, and they're all upstairs going crazy right now with our nanny. So I do apologize if there's background noise. I tried to limit that as much as possible. And then I'm a gluten-free lifestyle expert. I help others have a life and a body that they love. It's all about you loving yourself and focusing on yourself so that you can give back to those around you that are severely important to you and are hugely important, right? So we're going to dive kind of right into the details, and as we go, you'll hear stories along the way, and you'll hear a little bit about my family and some of my clients that I've helped. But I just want to get you the information, okay? So what happens to everyone? We all have shattered dreams, and we all have shattered health at some point in our life. And I know this happened to me myself, and it started when I was 14, and then the shattered health got worse as I was diagnosed with infertility, and the infertility went on for over 14 years. Every one of us has been let down, disappointed, sick, and tired at some point in our life. And every one of us needs healing, every single person, right? And we'll dive into stories about this as we go along. We all have pictured the way our life should be. We all had that dream, that knight in shining armor, or that white horse showing up, or for me it was a dream of having 3 little blonde children. Yes, I got 3 girls. None of them have blonde hair, but for a long time I didn't think that was going to be possible. And you know, and we as women a lot of times dream of that prince coming to get us and our lives being this wonderful, perfect thing, and then all of a sudden you get sick or you feel miserable and you're like, oh my goodness, this is not how my life is supposed to be. And you don't know what to do to go fix it. Or you've tried so many routes and seen so many doctors that you're confused and you don't know where to go. For some of us, the picture of the way our lives should be versus the picture of reality is just a reminder. Our lives are not turning out the way we had hoped, the way we had visioned, right? Maybe you come home and you're tired and you need a nap. Maybe you don't feel like making dinner every night. Maybe you throw up every day. Maybe you've got diarrhea, and that's not the way you want your life to go every day. And trust me, from somebody who's puked in a corporate office, to had diarrhea, to had horrible things going on that you didn't want anybody to know about, there are just times in your life where you just don't want to go on. And there's times in your life where it's not the vision that you had. It's not that horse or that prince, and it's not perfect. And the goal of tonight's webinar is to get you some information so you can get your life kind of back on track and you can start to heal your gut, but get the inflammation under control. No matter what has happened or how you feel, please know you're not alone. You are not alone. You have no idea how many times your neighbor goes to the bathroom. You don't know if they're sitting over there right now with a stomachache. You're not alone in this. And what I know from the community that I work in, and then the gluten-free community and the holistic healing community, is there are thousands of people that are dealing with the same stuff. And they're just looking for answers just like you are. Because here's what I've learned, right? Every one of us needs healing. Everyone. healing mentally, physically, healing in all sorts of different ways. But everyone needs some sort of healing in their life. We all had dreams. We all had expectations. Nobody ever grew up thinking, I'm going to get cancer at the age of 41. That's my sister-in-law's story. My sister-in-law, Tanya, she actually a year ago, in the spring last year, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she called me and she said, I need help. And I said, okay. And at the time I was like, okay, what do you want help with? And she said, I want you to go with me. I want you to go with me to the doctor's appointments. I want you to come and take notes. I want you to just be there. And I was like, okay, I'm there. Whatever you need, I'll take off work. I'll leave work early. I'll be there. What you probably don't know is my sister-in-law is a single woman, right? So it's not like she could take her husband with her. Her mom lives very far away, and at the time she really didn't want to tell her mom that she was diagnosed with cancer. It was a lot going on. And then she later on went on further to say, hey, I need additional help. And I was all right, okay, what kind of help? And she said, I want to beat this, but I need you to tell me what to eat. And I was like, well, let's do some research, right? Let's figure out what you need to be eating so that your body starts to heal and the cancer starts to go away. And in doing that, what was really, really cool for me to see is that we started her on some supplements. We started some essential oils. We changed the whole way she was eating. We detoxed her house. We cleaned stuff. And before she ever went in to have her mastectomy, her cancer tumors had started shrinking. So the doctor found that her cancer went from a stage 1 to a stage 0 before she ever had her surgery. What I want you to know is she did have her mastectomy. She did have a breast removed, but she didn't do chemo. She didn't do radiation. And her PET scan last October came back completely clear. She is completely cancer-free. And she did it, yes, she did do the surgery, but she didn't do any of the additional treatments. She did the rest of it all holistically. So healing inflammation is huge, and that's just one of the stories. Nobody ever grew up thinking, I'm going to live in constant pain at the age of 34 either, right? Nobody ever said, I want to go get rheumatoid arthritis, or I'm going to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Those aren't dreams that you have when you're a child growing up, or even dreams as a teenager. You don't want that diagnosis, and it happens. And nobody ever planned to get sick. And nobody ever thought their child would stop growing at the age of 2. That's my story. My daughter Liliana stopped growing. She was a year and a half old. She was weighing about 18 pounds. She was not growing. She was losing weight. She was pooping 6 to 8 times a day. Her poop had turned white, and she was just not thriving. She was diagnosed failure to thrive. And this was about 2 years ago. And what I want you to know is that we didn't know what was going on. I wanted her tested for celiac because I have celiac. The doctor didn't want to do that. He wanted to run all these other tests. He wanted to check for parasites. We were storing poop in our fridge, so every day we could run it over to the lab at the hospital so they could check to make sure that if there was fat in her poop, or if there were worms, or if there was all this other stuff going on. They ran liver enzyme testing. They ran all this testing, and then finally I was like, I want the celiac test ran, and I kept repeating it, and he's like, okay, we'll do it. And so she did an 8-week gluten challenge. Now, I wouldn't suggest that knowing what I know today, but that was the way that they would check for celiac at the time, and it's not the gold standard today. But she ate 2 slices of cheap white bread every day for 8 weeks, and then we went in for an endoscope and a colonoscopy. She had 14 biopsies in February of 2016, so a little over a year ago. Her intestines were purple. They were bruised from the food. She had a huge hematoma, which, if you don't know what hematoma is, it's basically a huge pocket of blood that was in her intestinal tract, and then she was full of sores, and her villi was blunted, and she had inflammation. And our gastrointestinal doctor came out of the hospital from her procedure in tears, and I started crying because I thought that my daughter was dead. And she said, I need you to come back to recovery. She's bleeding so much, we don't know what's going to happen. And so, you're already emotionally upset because you don't know what's wrong with your child, and they come out and the doctor's crying, which you never see a doctor cry ever. I've never seen a doctor cry before in my life or since. And they tell you that she's bleeding internally, and they're going to admit her, and they're going to put her on, some stuff, and they've got her hooked up to all these machines, and it is super scary, not knowing if she's going to live or die, not knowing what's going on. And then to find out that at the age of 2, she was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and celiac disease, along with being peanut anaphylactic. And that's a lot. That's a lot as a parent, but as a child going through it, knowing that you're never going to be able to eat certain foods or not be able to do the same stuff that your friends do, it's a lot to live through. And I tell that story to tell you that today, I think there's actually a lady on the webinar that her daughter's in school with Liliana. You wouldn't know that Lily was sick 2 years ago. You wouldn't know that Lily had stopped growing. Lily put on 15 pounds. She's way more than that now. Grew 7 inches and went up 4 clothing sizes over the summer just by us changing what she was eating. Just by the food that she was taking, right? So we did a modified paleo diet with Lily. We didn't do any additional medication or steroids or any of that stuff. And her body started to grow again. Her body started to thrive. And she's a happy-go-lucky kid today. I mean, she's at the swimming pool today. She came home, had dinner. She's laughing. She's smiling. She's the same size as every other 4-year-old. And you wouldn't know that she was sick, and they didn't know if she was going to make it just a short time ago. So these steps that I'm going to teach you today are the steps that we use for Lily. They're the same steps that when I called our integrated functional medicine doctor when she got released from the hospital, they're the same steps that she said, you got to do these things, right? So they're tried and true steps. And let's be honest for a minute. Part of what brings us such strong emotion is the fact that it feels like all the other people around us are achieving their dreams. Their lives seem so put together, right? You may think, oh, my neighbors are so healthy, or, oh, that mom at school is so fit. I wish I went to the gym and worked out every day like she did. You may not know what's going on at home, right? You don't know that they don't have cholesterol issues. You don't know if they've got some random disease or if they've been diagnosed with diabetes or something else. You have no idea. It looks great on the outside. It's the same thing when I always ask people, how are you? And they say, I'm fine. Well, fine is nowhere to live. If you see my Facebook video, you know I hate the word fine. If you're fine, you're not good. If you're fine, you're not healthy, because fine is that word that we've been taught to use to basically lie to people. So you're either feeling fabulous or you're feeling like crap. It's just a matter of the fact, right? So don't always think that when you look at somebody else that their life is perfect, because you don't know what's going on in their bathroom. You don't know how many times they've pooped a day or if they're constipated. Everyone else is healthy is what you think. Everyone else is fit. Everyone else is having kids. Everyone else is successful. Does that sound familiar to you? I know it sounded way familiar to me, right? I looked around and I thought, boy, everybody else is having kids. Why can't I get pregnant? Why is this ongoing? Why does my stomach hurt all the time? Why do I have Charlie horses in my gut? Right? Everybody else is having a great time. Why is it all this bothering just me? And at the time you think it's just you, but it's not just you and it's not just me, because it's happening to others. Here's what I have to tell you, is it happens to everyone. You just may not realize it. So what do you do when you have to find another way? And that's what we're going to explore this evening in this live course. We're going to explore, what do you do when you have to find a way, when you're at that breaking point, when you're on your bathroom floor, when you're sitting on your toilet, and you can't go on anymore because you just feel horrible and you don't know what you're going to do and the doctor doesn't have the answer. I want to tell you the truth. I needed the answers as desperately as you did. Along with my infertility issues, I also had gastrointestinal issues, and we'll go into a little bit of that. I was taking 25 pills a day at one point in my life, and my colon's been resected, or basically parts of my colon have been taken out 2 different times. And I would never pretend to know what's going on with you or what you're going through. I want you to know that I never assume that I understand your pain and your frustration that you may be experiencing. It's hard to walk in somebody else's shoes. Now, I've been in my own shoes, and I may have empathy, but I've not been in your shoes, and I don't know exactly how you're feeling and what's going on with you personally. But I do have personal experience. I have health scares, and I'll tell you about those as we go. And I've walked with a countless number of people through unspeakable diagnoses, from cancer to fibromyalgia to rheumatoid arthritis to, I had a lady crying this week who her daughter was diagnosed with Crohn's disease this morning, and she doesn't know what she's going to do exactly. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people that I listen. So my symptoms growing up, I'll give you a little bit of my backstory. By the time I was 14, I had asthma, I had acid reflux, I had bloating. By the time I was 18, my intestines had started bleeding because they had eroded enough, and I had colitis. Colitis means that basically you have tiny little holes in your intestinal tract or in your colon. And when it's ulcerated, it means that those tiny little holes are open and they're inflamed and they're basically, so mine had eroded enough to where my intestines were bleeding. They diagnosed me with IBS. IBS is irritable bowel syndrome. It's not a disease, it's a syndrome, it's the symptom. It's not the cause. And at the time, we didn't know what the cause was. The doctor, when I was 18, said, you have IBS. I need you to take these steroids, and I need you to eat more fiber. Can you eat shredded wheat every single day? And if you're part of the celiac community, I know you're like, oh my God, what is he doing? They didn't test me for celiac, you know. That's been 20 years ago. They just basically said eat shredded wheat, right? And so that's what I did. And for 14 years, I got up every morning, had a bowl of shredded wheat, made sure I ate lots of fiber, ate wheat bran, did all this stuff, and it just continued to get worse and worse and worse to the point where I would leave work at 2 o'clock, come home, take a nap, get back up to have dinner, to go back to bed, and I was sleeping anywhere from 15 to 18 hours a day, taking 25 to 30 pills, had maxed out my one prescription for steroids, and anytime I farted, I would fart blood, which is honestly, when that happens when you're in high school, it's totally embarrassing. It's awful. You never want to wear white pants. It's just horrible. You don't want to date. You don't want to go anywhere. It's just awful. What we know now is that I actually had celiac disease, and it was just never diagnosed until I was in my late 20s, sorry. So I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I was put on Azicol, which is a steroid, prednisone, another steroid, and Coloquart, which is an enema. None of that was actually needed, come to find out years later. It could have been treated very simply with foods, just knowing that what I had. I also have 2 additional autoimmune conditions because autoimmune diseases like to come in pairs and they come together. So I have stage 4 endometriosis. This is actually a picture of endometriosis. So what it is you end up with endometriosis, which is the intestine or the lining of the uterus growing outside the uterus. And so mine is stage 4, meaning that it grows pretty much all over your body. There's 5 stages of endometriosis, and if you're at stage 5, they pretty much tell you you've got about 3 to 6 months to live. Stage 4 means that your organs start to adhere together, and so you have what they call adhesions, which are basically tissues that look like rubber bands. They start to pull your organs closer together, and so I've had 3 surgeries at this point in my life where they go in and they basically do a dissection because my organs start to become one fused organ. My endometriosis, I've lost my appendix from it. I've lost half of an ovary, parts of my colon. It grows on my diaphragm. It grows on my liver. It grows all over. It's not just in my reproductive area. The other thing I want you to know is that when I was pregnant with my 3rd daughter, my colon and my uterus fused as one organ. And when I went into labor, they both ruptured. I was within an hour and a half in 2013 of losing my life and bleeding out. The OB doctor at the time didn't want to admit that he didn't know how to fix a colon. He just started cauterizing everything, which he saved my life. Very grateful for that. But in reality, he should have called a gastrointestinal doctor. Because when he cauterized the colon, that part of my colon died. So then in October of 2014, I had to have a section of my colon removed. Coming out of that surgery is when I said, no, I'm not going back on the medication. I'm not taking the steroids. I'm not taking the drugs. I'm going to go see the functional medicine doctor here at the hospital and give me 6 months. If it's not working, I'll come see you. What I want to tell you is it's been almost 3 years. It worked. Within 6 months, I wasn't bleeding. My colon was functioning normal. I was pooping normal. Everything was back to normal. No pain, nothing. And doing it through diet and nutrition and holistic healing through functional medicine. And those are the steps that we're going to cover tonight. It's the same steps that integrative functional medicine doctor put Liliana on. I'm gluten intolerant because of the celiac disease. I'm lactose intolerant. I have a lactose issue because my villi are still blunted. There's so much damage, they've never completely regrown. So my body doesn't have anywhere to store the lactose enzyme, which makes me lactose intolerant. And then I have a DQ2 gene, which is my celiac gene. All right, so then I had 3 girls, right? Which, hallelujah, praise the Lord, we did get our children after all of that time. But because of my compromised immune system and epigenetics and all of that DNA stuff, if you know anything about that, my kids now have compromised DNA as well. So Frankie was born 6 weeks early. We about lost her when she was 3 days old. Her liver stopped working. Come to find out, she has galactosemia. So if we were live and I could see your hands, I'd say, how many of you know what galactosemia is? If you do know what galactosemia is, put that in the chat box because I'd love to hear that. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. Galactosemia means that your liver cannot process lactose. So normally your liver would help produce enzymes that will take the lactose and turn it into sugar so that your body can burn it. Franki's liver doesn't possess the GALT gene, so it doesn't know how to do that. So if she gets dairy in her system, she ends up with liver failure. She's gluten sensitive. We will not actually run a celiac test on her through a gluten challenge because she has neurological issues when she gets gluten. And then same thing with red 40. It causes huge behavior issues at school and everywhere else. So she is gluten, dairy, and red 40 free. She will eventually have a celiac DNA test ran. Liliana was, like I said, diagnosed with celiac and Crohn's in February of 2016. She's anaphylactic to peanuts and then allergic to nightshades. So nightshades are your tomatoes, green peppers, onions, jalapenos, eggplant. And then she's allergic to American cheese, yellow cheeses, because she's allergic to annatto. Okay? And Lily is the one standing on the back of the bike, and as you can tell, she is super, super tiny. And then Josie, my youngest, is anaphylactic to chicken eggs and then allergic to berries, strawberries, blueberries, things like that she gets hives. We were hoping she'd outgrow the egg allergy. We tried eggs again this year. She's not outgrown that allergy because she's now 3. So normally they outgrow allergies by the time they're 3 or by the time they're 7. So her allergies are still there. They still test for positive. She still has reactions to them. We have EpiPens for Lily and Josie. And when she's 7, we'll check again to see if she's outgrown those allergies. But at this time, she is allergic to those foods. So our house, as you can imagine, is crazy, but we still cook one meal. We all eat healthy, and we are all thriving and don't need daily prescription medication. So what I want you to know is you don't have to undertake the rest of your life on the power of your own resources. I'm here to help you. I'm here to share with you resources, books, websites, recipes, all of that. And you can find a lot of that on the DF MomCertified website. Or if you go to momcertified.net or you hop over to Facebook, Instagram, we even have a Pinterest page. It's all there. And I love sharing information with people. All right, so we're going to jump into the 5 steps. I hope you all have your pen and paper ready. So number 1 is food and nutrition. And this is huge. I'm going to grab a drink of water. 1 second. So food and nutrition, you're like, okay, this sounds very familiar, right? But, that picture's over the words. Anyway, we can't have an optimal health by eating the average American diet and taking vitamins and supplements. It just doesn't work that way. So what you need to know is your cells have approximately 4,000 different enzyme systems with more than 1,000 different chemical signals, performing trillions of chemical reactions every second of the day. And more than 250 different nutrients have been identified. But you need over 4,000 different nutrients, and so those are likely nutrients that scientists have yet to identify, but you're going to get them through food. I mean, the human body was meant for food. So when we say you can't have optimal health by eating the average American diet and taking supplements, is because we don't have supplements for every single thing that your body needs, and you have to get that through food. So real food contains all the secrets. That's why it's so important to use real food to fulfill the vast nutrient requirements of your cells. So what you can do is you can follow what we do at our house is an integrated functional medicine food plan, which is going gluten-free, dairy-free, and sugar-free, and then loading up on vegetables and fruit and nuts and seeds and all that great food that's really good for you. You actually need about, if you're a female, 6 cups of vegetables every single day, and 1 cup of like dark purple and red fruit every single day. Now, if you're somebody that has a lot of inflammation, you've been diagnosed with candida, or you've got gout, or you've got a lot of that going on, you need what I would call the ultimate healing, and you need to be grain-free and legume-free for about 21 days to shut off the antibody production that your body is doing. If you remove those for 3 weeks, the antibodies will stop being produced. It doesn't mean that your body will forget how to make them. So if you were to get cross-contaminated or go back and start eating it, then it could re-trigger the antibody production, but it will at least stop it so your body can start to begin to heal. And so that's why it's so important to go for 21 days when you're trying to remove something and on an elimination diet, to give your body time to like stop the production of the antibodies and start to begin the healing process. So your new prescription is food, real food, food from farmers market, food from the grocery store, but real food. So the solution in step 1 is eating real food, eating a clean diet of real organic and whole foods. If you can't afford organic, that's okay, but if you want to know how to do organic on a budget, if you hop over to our website, go to the store link, you can actually for free download a whole guide on eating organic on a budget. So we give that away for free. Number 2 is water. And you're like, I've heard this before, food and water, right? But let's get into why water. First of all, it's not advisable to drink tap water unless it's been filtered. Tap water, especially like if you're Lake Michigan water or you're on city water, it's chlorinated. And the chlorine damages the gut flora balance and it causes additional inflammation. So chlorine is like putting gas on a fire. It's going to make the inflammation that's already there rage, and it's going to make it grow even worse. So if you don't have, you can get a filter that'll go on like the sink. You can put a filter in your refrigerator. You can even just do like a filtered water bottle with like a charcoal filter that pulls the chlorine out, or there's under the sink filters. If you're somebody that has a lot of inflammation, you're dealing with eczema, skin issues, things like that, I would also suggest a shower filter to filter the chlorine out of your shower. If you are on a well like we are, you don't have to worry about chlorine because you're not adding it to your well water. If you're somebody that swims a lot, you're going to want to watch or potentially start to go to somewhere where there's a salt pool instead of a chlorinated pool. So there are salt pools, and there is also hot tubs and whirlpools and stuff with salt instead of chlorine. All right, so the average American person or average adult should, it doesn't matter if you're American, I don't know why I said that. The average adult should drink 1.5 liters or about 60 ounces of water each day. So if you're 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of water a day. It's really not that much. I have a water bottle I carry around with me everywhere I go, and it's a 20-ounce bottle. So I know I need 3 of those a day. There's a lot of trackers, whether it's your phone, Fitbit, whatever you're using, that can track how much water you've had every day, and you just kind of keep track of it that way. You can make it a game. But the solution in step 2 is water. You want to drink half your body weight in ounces each day. The 150-pound person needs 75 ounces of water each and every day. All right, number 3 is walking. Walking, and you're like, oh my goodness, walking. But yes, your brain literally depends on exercise for the growth factors it needs to thrive. Exercise stimulates the release of the particular hormones in the brain that nourish the brain cells. So brain health is huge, right? Brain fog, people they think they're getting dementia, or they get forgetful, or you think you have mommy brain. Sometimes you just need to get up and take a little walk around the block so that your brain starts to regenerate itself and starts to stimulate itself. So exercise can include things like stretching, yoga, balance work, cardio, strengthening. I understand that not everybody can go out and run a marathon. We're not asking you to do that. 20 minutes a day. And even if you're somebody that can only walk to your mailbox, that's enough. Try it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Bonnie. Bonnie is a client. We worked together last fall. She's still part of our group program as well. But Bonnie, when we first met, couldn't get off the couch. And her dream was to just be able to get up and have enough energy to play with her grandkids. But she didn't have the energy to get off the couch. It hurt too bad. She just couldn't do it. And the night before we were supposed to start the challenge group, because she'd went out and got all the groceries, she was going to quit. She's like, I'm not going to do it. And her husband said, you've already got the food. I'm going to cook for you. You're going to do this. And what I want you to know is Bonnie now will hike in the mountains 3 to 5 miles a day. Bonnie will text me and say, I had a bad day. And I'll say, what happened? And she's like, I didn't get my hike in. Her hike is at least 3 miles. So to her, if she's not done 3 miles, that's bad. But when I look at it, she couldn't get off the couch last fall. So to go from that to doing 3 to 5 miles a day in the mountains, that's huge. And all she did was change the way she was eating and add a few additional things. She didn't start taking any crazy medication. She didn't go do anything drastic. Her first thing was, I said, walk to your mailbox. And she's like, I don't know if I can walk to my mailbox. I was like, walk to the end of your driveway. And then walk around the block, right? And little by little, she got up the energy to start hiking. And playing with her grandkids is like fun now. And she enjoys it. But it's the little things, and it's huge. The solution in step 3 is walking, right? Walking or moving for at least 20 minutes of every single day. And that doesn't mean 20 minutes at one given time. That'd be great if you can do that. If you can't do that, do 10 minutes at a time, 5 minutes at a time. And if you're somebody that says, I don't even have time for this, park at the very back of the parking lot and walk into your building that you have to walk into, or walk to the grocery store from the very last parking spot to make sure that you're getting the exercise that you need. Number 4, decluttering. And now you're like, Tiffany, seriously, what is declutter? And what does my junk have to do with my health? Well, quite a bit, actually. You have to clear your environment to clear your mind. Physical junk, whether it's hoarding, stacks of magazines, mail, newspapers, junk drawers in your kitchen, they cause stress. And once you're stressed, it causes additional load on your adrenals, which then will cause physical ailments. And sometimes just getting rid of the stress in your life, the things around you, is enough to clear your mind to move forward and to make progress. One of my current clients for the whole winter, and I kind of understand, but not all the way, had a pile by her front door that was a donation pile, and the pile just got bigger and got bigger and got bigger and got bigger all winter because she didn't want to take the time to get out in the cold and take it to the drop box or drive it over to Salvation Army. So she had this monstrous pile by her door. But when we first started working together, trying to get out of her house was a mess because either things always fell off the pile or she tripped, or it was just this disastrous mess. And it was very stressful for her to even get out the door. And about 2 weeks ago, she called me and she's like, guess what? And I'm like, what? She goes, I took everything and donated it. It's like clear and it's nice. And I come home and I don't have to look at this pile of stuff. And I was like, oh my goodness, don't you wish you would have done this before? And so it's one of those things that it was a huge release of stress. So it's physical, mental, and environmental. You need to throw it out, give it away, forget it, and forgive and forget. And it doesn't mean that if you are holding on to regret or you're holding on to guilt or you're holding on to hatred that you have to tell the person that you forgave them. But you do need to write a letter of forgiveness, and then you can burn it or throw it away. But you got to get it out of your conscience. I always tell people, take something to the neighbor and tell them they don't have to return it. Give it away, get it out, whatever it is. Kids' clothes that are too small, broken toys. One of the great things to do is go in your kitchen, empty out your junk drawer. This is a great place to start because almost everybody has a junk drawer in their kitchen. Empty it out. Put the stuff that really belongs in the drawer back in the drawer. If it doesn't belong in the drawer and you don't have anywhere for it to go, throw it away because it's just accumulated junk. And to me, that was huge when I did that, and now we don't have the junk drawer. It's like I don't have to dig in there to figure out where random stuff is or if the screwdriver is really in there, because now the screwdriver doesn't live in a drawer where it wasn't supposed to. All right, and then so your solution in step 4 is decluttering. I would challenge you tonight when we get off the webinar to clean out one area of your home. Maybe it's just throwing out the newspaper from today because you're done reading it instead of leaving it on your stack of other newspapers. Maybe it is taking the trash out. But I challenge my clients every single day to get rid of one thing. Throw something away every single day or donate it. It is huge. All right, number 5 is a bath. And you're like, come on, Tiffany, my grandma said I needed a bath, but I quit taking baths years ago. I take showers only. Well, I'm going to tell you, you need a bath for many, many reasons. Okay? Consuming a modern high-processed foods diet that has devastating effects on your magnesium deficiency. Okay? And if you're magnesium deficient, you end up sleeplessness. You end up with tics, muscle spasms, cramping, seizures, anxiety. You can even have irregular heart rhythms and arrhythmia because you're magnesium deficient. And a lot of times the doctor doesn't think to go say, hey, let's check your magnesium levels. It's not one of those things they go to right away. But I can tell you if you're experiencing any of those things and you're not adding magnesium to your diet, you're probably magnesium deficient because we don't really take in magnesium anymore. We don't eat dirt. Some of us might eat dirt, but most people don't eat dirt. And then when sulfur deficiency occurs within a low-fat diet, typical of your Western nation, the problem becomes more serious. And you're like, how am I going to get sulfur and magnesium? I'm going to tell you that. But the low-fat diet has refined carbohydrates that are directly converted to fat, which means you grow like that muffin top. You get like those love handles, and they just keep growing, right? And then worse is that when you start to burn that fat, those go right back into your bloodstream as triglycerides in an attempt by the body to fuel. But in reality, they're full of inflamed muscles cells. So those fat cells cause more inflammation to your muscle cells, and they cause more damage. And that's why a lot of times when you do a detox or you do an elimination, you have like a die-off effect, or you feel like you have the flu for the first 3 to 6 days. It's because you're starting to burn those fat cells where your body has stored up some of these toxins, and now the body has to burn through and eliminate the toxins all over again. So it's really important to make sure you're getting plenty of water, especially during our challenge week that we're going to do next week. Make sure you're getting your water. So now, how do you get sulfur and magnesium, right? But the other thing you need to know is sufficient sulfur intake is absolutely critical to avoid problems around chronic pain, metabolism, excess weight, and even preventing or slowing the progress of Alzheimer's. There's scientific studies that are showing if you have people with early signs of dementia or early signs of what they believe to be Alzheimer's, if you increase their sulfur, they're not as forgetful. All right, so you need to take an Epsom. That should be an M instead of an N. You need to take an Epsom salt bath 3 times a week. 20 minutes at a time, you sit in the tub, half a cup of salt per tub of water, and you relax. Read a book, listen to some music, check your email, whatever you need to do. Watch TV if you need to. But sit in a bath 3 times a week because your Epsom salt is at magnesium and sulfur, and it's going to get into your body. And it will also help to extract toxins and help you to feel better. So let's review quickly those 5 steps. Healing inflammation in 5. I love it. So step 1, food. Eating a clean diet, real, organic, whole foods with the support and with a menu. And if you join our challenge week next week, we're going to get you added to a closed group, and you're going to get a menu and you're going to get a grocery list. You're going to get the support you need to get started and put it into action. Step 2 is water. Drinking half your body weight in ounces each day. And you can calculate that easily. Most of us know what we weigh, especially if you're a woman. You're very conscious about what you weigh, so you know what half your body weight is. Step 3 is walking, right? Short walks, short workouts daily, short walking trips. You can do them in your home. Don't feel like you have to go out and join a gym or pay money or anything like that. 20 minutes a day, stretching, walking, balance, a little bit of cardio if you're able to do that, all of that great stuff, right? Do some yoga. Step 4 is decluttering, cleaning out one area of your home today. That's the challenge. Go clean something today. Throw it out, take it to the corner, go give it to your neighbor and tell them, you know, Merry on Christmas or something. I don't know. Give it away. Get out. Step 5 is a bath. Take an Epsom salt bath 3 times a week. And you can get a bag of Epsom salt at CVS or Walgreens for about $6. It's not expensive. All right, so expectations. You're like, what's going to happen if I start doing these 5 things together? You're going to have more energy. You're going to have better mobility. You'll have less abdominal cramping. You're going to have an improved blood sugar, improved blood pressure, weight loss, and less headaches. So Miss Evelyn is another one of my clients that in my 90-day program, she was able to stabilize her blood sugar. So Miss Evelyn, before working together about 2.5 years ago, had a heart attack. She's type 2 diabetic. She has high blood pressure, and she was overweight, and she just was on insulin all the time. Right? Within her first 6 weeks, her blood sugar had normalized. Her numbers went from the upper 200s to 108, which was normal all the time. Her blood pressure had come down. She had lost 40 pounds by the time we were done with her VIP program that she did with me. And what I want you to tell you is that within 6 months of her starting the 5 steps and doing my program, she was able to lose enough weight to where they were able to do her back surgery. And it's amazing. Her doctors in January when they ran her blood work said, your blood work looks better than it did 10 years ago. It's never looked this good. What are you doing? And she started to explain that she had changed the way she was eating and the food she was eating. And her doctor said, just keep doing it, because doctors aren't necessarily trained in food and nutrition, so they don't always understand it. But he was like, just keep doing it. It's working. I love it. She's no longer on her insulin. She doesn't need her blood pressure medication. And she's down overall now 60 pounds. So she's a whole new woman, and it is amazing, and she's full of energy. Her daughter's getting married this year, and so she's looking forward to having grandkids. And she's got her health back, so it's really cool to see. And you could have that too. It's really your choice. It's not my choice. It's not your husband's choice. It's not your kid's choice. It's your choice. You can continue to mask the pain and say, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. You can grow bitter and feel as if you're the only one, you're all alone, or you can say, I'm in, right? Raise your hand. Take those steps toward healing. Begin to trust and believe that maybe, just maybe, there's someone in your life who can and will speak those healing words and say, me too, I'm going to do it with you. Let's do this. Let's feel better. Come make it real. What I want you to know is that we're going to do a 5-day challenge program starting Monday. The group's already set up. The menus are already posted. You just got to tell me you want in, and I'm going to add you. So we'll begin the journey together to restoration. You'll get 5 days of coaching for free. emails every day, technical information, facts, all of that great stuff. You'll get all of that. And what I need you to do, though, is I need you to sign up to join the 5-day challenge week. There was a link in an email that you got after you signed up for the webinar. You need to click on that link and sign up to join the challenge week. You also need to email me, and you can email Tiffany at MomCertified.net, just right down there, like at the bottom of the slide there. What's your most common complaint? What are you dealing with? What's the thing that's driving you crazy, that's holding you back? What are you struggling with? And then you can join us for 5 days and enjoy the gift of community, the inspiration, the motivation, doing it together, right? Making it fun all the way. What are the benefits of a challenge week? What are you going to get? You're going to get an online community. You're going to make new friends. You're going to have accountability. Somebody's going to hold you accountable to do it. You're going to have a menu for 5 days. Free recipes. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you stuff. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, all of it. Grocery shopping list. Encouragement. Daily educational emails. What I want you to know is Karen is one of my clients as well. And Karen said that she used to spend $10 a day just on her lunch, right? So it's $150, no, sorry. $50 a week just on lunch, not including any other meals. She went with the program. She gets 15 meals because it's 3 meals a day and 2 snacks for $87 a week is what she spent on her groceries. So for a little bit more, she was getting all her meals, and it was a huge savings. It was over $150 savings overall for the whole week. So that was really cool. So if you're somebody that says, I can't really afford organic groceries, I'm going to tell you how to do it so you don't have to worry about that. You can do it on a budget. You can eat healthy and still not have to spend a ton of money. And you don't have to shop at Whole Foods. Don't let that hold you back. What you do need to do is you need to click on the email link and join the challenge group now and prepare yourself to live a life you enjoy, a pain-free life. I would love for you to join us on the challenge. I want you to do this before you leave your computer tonight, okay? Send me the email at Tiffany@MomCertified.net. Tell me what is bothering you, why you need the challenge, and let's get doing this. Your inflammation healing in 5, right? It's the food, the water, walking, decluttering, and a bath. The solution, and I always end with this quote because it's something that kept me going. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, to move with it, and to join the dance. In junior high, if you went to a dance, the boys sat on one side of the gym, the girls sat on the other, and nobody would dance. So what's the point of going, right? You go to the ocean and you put your toe in. What's the point of going? You can't say you're actually in the ocean if you don't actually get in. So what I want you to know is if you're going to do the challenge, you do the challenge all the way. If you're going to heal the inflammation, you do all 5 steps. If you just do one of them, there's no point. You got to join, and you got to move, and you got to do it together, and you just got to plunge in. Just take the jump. Take the leap of faith. Trust us that it'll work. Trust the stories, the inspiration, the testimonials are on the website. You can go look at them. There is healing on the other side. You just got to jump off and go. All right, I'm going to flip back to the chat area so I can answer questions for people. Give me 1 second to do that. Okay, so there is stuff in the chat box. 1 second. All right, so I'm going to flip there. All right, and I will start answering questions. So if you have questions, let me know, and I will get those answered as we go. Okay, so Regina, what was the amount of salt per water again? You're going to want to do 1/2 cup of salt per water. So a tub of water, just warm water, not extremely hot, warm water, 1/2 cup of salt is what you do 3 days a week, okay? And again, while you're doing your bath, you can do whatever feels comfortable for you. Maybe it's music, maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's just meditating, maybe it's prayer, maybe it's watching TV on the tablet or your phone, whatever is easy for you to do for 20 minutes. And if you're somebody that says, I don't even have a bathtub, get a bucket or a pail and put some salt in there with some water and stick your feet in it while you're doing something so that you can get your magnesium and your sulfur. What other questions do you guys have? Type them in that chat box. We'll get those answered. Okay, so the other thing I want you to know is you will get an email with the chance to join the challenge group if you've not already done that. Some of you have already sent me an email saying, hey, I went in on the challenge, and so I've created that group on Facebook and I've added you. If you're somebody that wants in, definitely send me a message so we can do that. I am going to save this recording. I will send this out so you can listen and watch the replay of the webinar and the live training again. And if there's somebody in your life that you're like, oh my goodness, I wish they would have been on here, I wish they would have seen this, feel free to share it with them. Share the video with them, share the information, and let them know that you think it would be helpful for them and you'd love for them to join you on the challenge week. You will have to be registered for the challenge week by Saturday, so I can make sure that everything's set up and everybody has all the information they need. So make sure you get that over to me on Saturday, and I'll make sure it's all ready to go. And we're going to have a great week. And I would encourage you, if you have any other questions or anything like that, to let me know. Tina, you have a question. Do you have to be on Facebook to do the challenge? You do not have to be on Facebook to do the challenge. You will not have the online community, but you can still get the daily emails, you can still get the menu, and you can still get the grocery list and everything like that to do the challenge. And then if you've got questions, you can email me throughout the challenge week, and I'll get you those answers. So if that's something you want to do, I can shoot you an email with all of that information. But go ahead and still sign up so that you're getting those emails every day with the information. And then send me a note, which I think you might have already done that, Tina, saying that you're not on Facebook. So I'll get you the menu and the grocery list and everything sent to your mailbox, okay? Any additional questions? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you found this valuable, and I can't wait to start working with all of you. Thank you again. Have a great evening.